Okay, hello everyone. This is Sam Dillon, and I am your castle keeper this evening. And we are playing Pools of Narrheit, an actual play Castles and Crusades RPG game. So let's have the uh, members of the team here introduce themselves. And let's go from the top. So that's going to be Rekmit.
Name's Robert, playing Reckoned Sourbeard, a Dwarven rune mark.
And then Leonise.
Hi, I'm Chris. I'm playing Leonis Wallenda, an Orolu High Elf.
How's it going, everybody? My name is Matt. I'm playing Xenolesmus Faye, who is a human monk in search of the parents who abandoned him as a baby.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex, and I'm playing Bert Longfellow, a halfling rogue.
And Jake.
Hi, I'm George, and I'm playing Jake Tildor, cleric of Durandale.
Excellent. And who wants to do a very short recap of what happened last time? We skipped a couple weeks because the holiday and an unexpected event I had. And so it's been a couple weeks. Who remembers what the heck happened?
Just wondering.
Anyone?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give a recap unless somebody else wants to.
Go ahead.
So we searched to the west, found a couple bedrooms with various furniture. Room to the south and north of that each contained similar furnishings. Blade trap almost took off Xeno's hand. Found a soap bag with 3 vials in it to the north. Found a tomb of alchemy with some spells in the back. Rekmit found that. Returning to the entry room, we explored the south passage, which was collapsed, so we headed east. Bert, Xeno, and Rekmit each took a polished stone from a wicker basket on the table. Xeno goaded Jake into entering, and Jake got attacked by 4 zombies after the head zombie stood up from a throne and pointed at him. We proceeded to bash those guys, and then went back through the way we had already came, down the staircase to a statue room that had a statue of Narrheit in it. The stones that we had collected each turned into a gem, and Xeno stupidly stood right in front of the Narrheit statue and touched the stone and got spit on, creating a skin condition for myself and Alex, I believe.
Yep.
And then we returned to Endelphin to lick our wounds and heal up.
And you spent quite a bit of money at the House of St. Luther getting healed, as far as I remember.
We did spend, I think, a whole pouch full of gems. I think it ended up being like 1,500 gold pieces.
I don't think quite that much, was it?
Not that much. I don't remember.
Quite a bit of gems.
I remember it being a lot.
Maybe.
The small leather bag had like 23 gold pieces. I know there was an old copper ring. We had a bunch of silver we got out of that fountain. Then we had a ram's head pendant necklace. That was about it. And the only difference to the story would have been that you guys got your skin condition against the zombies. You inhaled some of their dust, whatever. And then at the statue,
That's right.
At the statue, you got paralyzed, and hence we had to turn back.
Yeah, that's correct. The spit paralyzed me. The zombie skin spores gave me and Alex an infection.
Well, Bert.
Yeah.
Not Alex, Bert.
Bert.
So, you're actually in Delphin. What would you like to do?
healed up, right?
You are all healed up.
Yeah.
I think we... 5. That one. Is there anywhere left where we had not explored in that place?
There was the one room behind the statue.
And there was like a nest or something in there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was what looked like some sort of rat's nest or something. And there was an altar in there, and there were some gold symbols of Narrheit on the wall in there, in that circular room here at the top of the map.
Well, do you guys wish to like to go back and check that out, or do you want to continue on to something new?
If it's an entire room, we could go back and check it. There's probably going to be more tricks in there, definitely.
Right.
I trust you to go and get caught in them. We also have the ability, if we wanted to try and stabilize that one corridor that had collapsed, if we wanted. That would probably be a much more labor-intensive deal.
Could be a lot of work.
We could hire some retainers to go in there and try to clear it out.
I was just wondering, could we get some muscle to go and just clear those? Are there any laborers around in town that we could hire for a short period?
Yeah, so you can, let me see here. There's a couple of places that you could check. You could go to either the dock office, right? The port office, and ask if they have any dock workers that need extra work. You could go to the lumber yard and see if there are any lumber workers that need extra work. Or you could go to the inns and ask around. There is not an official office for or storefront that is there to represent hirelings and helpers. It's sort of it's run based on the person's normal job. So, there's an organization that represents the fishers, and there's an organization that represents the woodcutters and things like that. But there is no sort of setup arranged for the representation of hirelings for the purposes of adventure at this point.
What if we go to either the church and tell them we found these statues in this tomb? Maybe they might want to fund an expedition down there to clear it out.
Yeah.
Or to the city council, the mayor or whatever, and let him know that we found a nest in the hills that he might want to see if there's any valuables. Send a group to check it out.
Yeah, the church seems like
if we can get somebody else to fund it, yeah, then we won't have to pay for it.
Yeah.
And we probably took most of the loot, too. I like this idea.
There is, Lenise will tell you that, she remembers from behind the wall, right? There's two symbols of Narrheit we talked about, but they were made of gold. There was the altar, a pile of garbage we had, and looks like a plate with a lot of coins in it.
And if we're going to go the route, excuse me, some really spicy sauerkraut. Homemade. And if we want to go the route of hiring people to do that over the town, we might want to clear out that room first so it's already cleared out. Oh. Rickman's got his eyes burning.
So you're going to go and clear that room first and come back? I think we should definitely... I like the idea of talking to the church. I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
You want to stop at the church first, and then while we're heading over there, and maybe they can send a priest with us to bless it or something while we're down there.
Well, and the only tricky part is it depends on the church. I know there's one of St. Luther in here that we went to for the healing.
Mm-hmm.
So they might look down upon us like, hey, do you want to fund an expedition? And they had just healed 2 of our guys.
Maybe we try a different one. Good point.
Yeah. It might be a little bit of a hard sell.
Well, we can let you do the talking.
Yeah. Just ignore my
So
2.
I think.
Go ahead.
No, I guess we're gonna head toward the church then, Samuel. Maybe stop
Let's
there just to kind of let them know what we may have found or not found.
Right.
Let Jake do the talking.
Okay, so there are 3 main sort of churches in town. There is the Temple to Orzar. There is the Abbey of Elor, which is on the hill. And then there is the House of St. Luther. So you can go to any of those, or I guess the question is, which one would you like to go to?
Whichever one Jake wants to go to.
What are the
this map here?
The first one is the Temple of who, and what is he like? What is his responsibilities
So,
or domains?
There's the town map. So the Temple to Orzar. Orzar is the horse lord. He is responsible for or worshipped by people who believe in the tenets of peace, nature, agriculture, home, and revelry. He's generally, in alignment terms, he's neutral to neutral good. The House of St. Luther is, he is a lawful good war god, basically, who represents paladins in a lot of cases. And then the Abbey of Elor. Elor is the Lord of the Sea, which is sort of why he gets prominent placement here in town.
Right.
And his province is oceans, saltwater, bays, and seas. The provinces of St. Luther are Confession and the Dreaming Plain.
So I think we should try St. Luther to start. You know, try to find the guys that want to fight the most, maybe.
Okay.
Sounds good.
While the group's doing that, Reckman's going to head to the Abbey of Elor and then also the other temple and drop off 2 gold pieces to each of them as a kind of a donation, yes.
Okay. Sounds good. Are you going to just donate, or are you going to try to get some information?
Yeah, not about information. Sure. But just derail the whole group.
So, do you want to go to the House of St. Luther first?
Nah. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll keep it easy. I'll keep it simple.
Well, you can split up. I just need to know which one to adjudicate first.
I was going to do Elor first and then go to Orzar. And if they weren't at St. Luther, I figured they'd go to Orzar next.
Okay. Give me 1 second here.
I figure there's not going to be one to really help us anyways because it has nothing to do with their domain.
Mm-hmm.
I like to go through the town. It's my home.
Okay, so on this map, let me put some markings on here. So the House of St. Luther, I'm just going to put a big L on it. This is the House of St. Luther right there, up in the corner, sort of on the hill in the east. And then the Abbey is here. This is the Abbey of Elor, so I'm putting a big E on it. Okay. And the Temple to Orzar is right here, so I'm putting a big O on it. Let's get rid of these circles because I don't remember what they were denoting. Okay, so if you so you're probably going to spend it's probably going to take more time to go through the sorry, I can't think. It's probably going to take more time to get you through the situation with St. Luther because you're going to basically ask them for help. So let's actually go to the Abbey first. And so Reckmit's going to go to the Abbey. Is anybody else going to go?
Okay, guys, I'm going to run over to the Abbey, see if they have any information, drop off a little donation to them. Is that a good thing? I mean, I know you guys want to go talk to St. Luther, and that's not a problem. I just figure, well, if you guys want to do that, I can do this or whatever. Knock this all out.
We can do both together. Right? We can.
Yeah.
Don't think there's a worry of splitting the town in party, or the party of town even.
I figured in town it would be dangerous, but trying to see if I can find out information for you guys on any of the things you guys are looking for. Now that I know a bit more about each of your situations. And my Chihuahua pets, of course, following me.
Suddenly, Reckmit has a familiar.
I love puntable doggies.
Now, Reckmit, have you been to the Abbey of Elor?
I imagine over the last 150 years, I've been to each of these places at some point. I'm not necessarily a follower, but I've always kind of paid homage to each of them. No reason to irritate any of the strange, God-believing types.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I don't believe gods, I do, but, they get a little crazy.
Okay. So you probably then know at least that there is the main abbot and two main secondary priests, and then several acolytes. And it's a pretty large complex, so you can see if you're looking at the map, if you look at the building that is slightly to the northwest, the wooden building slightly to the northwest of the Abbey, is actually the dormitory for all of the acolytes that are at the Abbey studying. So it's a pretty large complex.
Right. Yeah, it's actually bigger than the Baron's Castle with respect to overall area.
Right. Yeah, the Baron's Castle is more like a house with stone walls, and it's a little bit bigger than everyone else. But it's in terms of actual lavishness, the cathedral or the abbey is a much more lavishly decorated place. There are wave motifs everywhere. There's lots of gold and silver decorations and decorative scroll work in the any of the wood and any of the stone carvings that are in there always have a lot of very high quality, very precise, detailed decorative items or elements to it. Lots of wave motifs, lots of ship motifs, lots of storm motifs. And the abbot's name is Bran Wallether, so Abbot Wallether. And the two head priests are Ward and Gibson. And in general, Gibson is responsible for heading up the acolytes, so he's often only seen or dealt with in terms of the acolytes and the people studying, whereas Ward is generally the priest who does the majority of the work that is sort of citizen facing, right? So anybody who comes into the Abbey who has a question or needs information or wants to make a donation, that's usually dealt with by acolytes just doing their day-to-day job. But if you request to speak to a priest, the person you get is Ward. The Abbey, or the abbot, I should say, is generally seen by appointment only. So the question is, when you come in, do you want to just provide a donation and look around and talk to general acolytes doing their job, or do you actually want to ask to see the priest?
I would probably go talk to the acolytes a little bit just to see what the situation is, especially with how Priest Ward is today. Whether he's really being accommodating or not, because I'd want to give him the actual donation and speak to him too. If the acolytes say that his public relations role is a good day for him.
Okay. And how much money are you putting into the till?
Put in 2 gold pieces, but because I know the area, would 5 gold pieces be more receptive or better received?
Well, let's put it this way. What is everybody wearing?
I know I am wearing very worn clothing. My leather and all my stuff, whatever my clothes are, all hand-me-downs.
Okay. What about everyone else?
I've just got hide armor.
Zeno is just wearing his regular clothes.
What are they? Are they high quality, low quality? Are they beat up, dirty, clean? What's the...
I'd say they're just regular, not high or low quality.
Okay.
A little dusty from our adventures in the tomb.
Okay.
Jake would be wearing his ringmail with the blue tunic of Durandale on it.
Okay.
And I'm sure that's going to be a bit dirty and dusty as well. Just from our last adventure, laundry day isn't until 2 days from now, so what you get.
Hey, same with me. I would clean it all and manicured it because my stuff may be well used, but it's well cared for.
Okay.
Because we've had 3 days.
Yeah.
During that time, I've been mending clothes and all that kind of stuff using my wonderful skills.
Okay. So, given that's what everyone's wearing, I think probably 2 gold pieces would be looked upon as a generous donation from the group.
Right. Yeah.
If you gave 5, it would be appreciated, but the other people there would probably see it as you showing off. And if you gave less than 2, they would probably see it as you being cheap. So 2 is probably a good number at this point. Now, if somebody was wearing really bright, shiny new armor and you had nice new weapons, of course they would associate that with, you having more resources to donate.
Based on you guys, because everyone in this town knows we're just casual.
Um, so the acolytes actually tell you that the priest has been in a pretty foul mood lately. Uh, he has been asking for extra chores, for everyone to do extra chores. So most of the time, the acolytes that are living in the dormitory are basically working from sunup to sundown anyway. But for the past week or so, he has asked them to work several more hours. So they get up before the sun has come up, and they don't have any free time for contemplation or meditation or studying until well past the sun going down. And he's been in a pretty foul mood. And anytime anyone asks him, he just lashes out at them and doesn't actually give them an answer.
So it smells like he's got something on his mind.
All right, well, pocket that information. We just came to drop off some coins, right?
Yep. And I do want to
All
kind
right, I
of check
think we're
in.
going to head to the.
I actually want to try and check in
Go
with
ahead.
Priest Ward on my own. He's in a foul mood.
Okay. Is there anything else around the? What else is around the church?
So
there's a workshop.
Yeah, so this abbey has the dormitory, and it has a workshop, and it has a big fountain, and most of the grounds are not really open to the public, right? Only the cathedral itself or the abbey itself with the worship area is open to the public. But there's a lot of space here, and there's about 50 or so acolytes. I take that back. There's about 20 or so acolytes that are at any given time running around and doing chores and manicuring the grounds and making sure that no one goes into any area they're not supposed to go into. So there's a lot of activity, but there's a lot of things going on that you can't necessarily outwardly see.
All right, go for it, Rickman.
All right. Oh, is the priest around or whatever? Or do I want to maybe approach him or point him out where he is?
The acolyte's sort of taken aback. He says, you'll have to make an appointment to see him. He's not just open to seeing anyone.
I thought that was just the abbot.
Lately he's been very cloistered.
Was Priest Gibson available?
Yeah, probably. Maybe he's over in the dormitory.
Would it be all right if you guided me over there? Because we're not normally allowed to go there. Or would you mind to fetch him for us, please? Whichever works best for you.
Okay. He turns to another acolyte and he says something, almost whispers to the other acolyte, and the other acolyte nods his head and sort of steps over to where this acolyte used to be standing, and then he says, I guess are you all coming or just you?
It can be just me to make things simpler.
Mm-hmm.
Not to trouble you guys. Trouble you and the priest too much.
Yeah.
Okay. And he almost scurries off. He's trying to be calm but also go quickly. And it's almost comical, although not quite, because it's obvious that he is worried about something, or at least afraid of breaking the rules and whatnot. He leads you across the courtyard and over to the dormitory area. And in this area, so let me focus in here. In this area, there is a large fountain in the front of this building, and there are 2 or 3 different acolytes that are setting the stones in the pathway correctly and trying to make sure that everything is just so. And as the acolyte walks up and leads you through, the other acolytes sort of turn away to not look at where you're going or what you're doing. And then he leads you into the sort of northern wing of the dormitory and to Gibson's office. And he knocks twice, and Gibson says, "Enter." And he opens the door and he asks if Gibson has time to see a guest, and Gibson stands up and says, "Of course, please come in."
All right, well, I will enter and go, "Hail, Priest Gibson. May the Lord's blessing be upon you."
"Thank you, you as well. What can I do for you today?"
"Well, my father wanted me to bring you guys a little thing of sauerkraut for you, so I'll pull out like this little itty bitty jar that I have, give that to him. Kind of a little greeting, which I would give an award, but he didn't want to see me. And say, "How are things going? Your acolytes seem troubled. Not normal from what I've seen before."
"They are entering a period of heavy-duty work. So they are a little bit troubled because they're getting towards the end of their cycle of studies, and we're expecting a lot from them."
Seemed like the priest board wasn't available, which seems odd. I was just wondering if there was any problems or anything that maybe we could help you with, or the Sourbeards could help with. It seems like there's like just a little air of discontent or some kind of concern, more than just the heavy workload.
Well, there has been an incident. Have you heard of it around town?
Which incident would that be? I've heard a bunch of things happening, but
I just want to make sure there's not a rumor mill flying about what has happened.
it would depend on what it has to do with. I mean, there are some rumors going around.
Well, of course, there are always rumors. This is specific to the Abbey, of course.
Oh, let me think quickly. I am not aware of any rumors respecting to the Abbey itself, so at least with the circles that I've traveled, it hasn't been getting around.
As part of the training that the acolytes attend to, we have them go out on the ocean in groups of 4 and do a little bit of fishing and do a little bit of meditation on the sea and do a fast. And a couple of weeks ago, we sent the most recent set of recruits out, and they have not yet returned.
I take it that is not normal. They usually come back quicker than that, or only like what, a week, or?
It's normally a 3-day voyage.
Ooh. Do I recall if that would have been the time frame? No, probably time frame of one of my fellow patriots had a ship in. That would have been. We've only been here 4 or 5 days, right? Okay. Oh, that's unfortunate. That is a long time. Have you had anybody to look for them, or?
We did, and they found the boat.
Ooh.
But It was fully intact, and it was on the shore on the southern side of the bay, southwest of, where was it? Yes, southwest of Trastenfinn, south of the Oxwood. It was fully intact, so we thought perhaps they just lost their way and that they would make their way back. Perhaps they were investigating the forest, camping. Sometimes when our acolytes have a meditative journey, they take a few extra days, and that's what we thought perhaps was happening, but now it's been 2 weeks.
Did the guys bring that boat back, or is it still on the shore there?
We brought it back. It's in the workshop. We wanted to make sure that it actually was intact, so that if we sent it out again, it wouldn't disintegrate.
Did it look like they had intentionally beached it, or did it look like it just washed up on shore?
No, it was anchored.
Huh. Interesting. Were there any tracks?
Into the Oxwood.
Into the Oxford, huh?
Mm-hmm. We sent teams of acolytes to search for several days, but we never found anyone.
Well, I'll check with my compatriots. We have a couple little things we want to touch in because we found some interesting oddities around town, in the outskirts of this, in the woods and stuff. But if they're game, maybe we will take some time to go check that out and see if we can help you guys out. We would have a little better luck given our backgrounds versus the acolytes.
Well, understand, we send senior acolytes, and Ward has gone with them every time.
Fair enough. But my companions have some interesting skills and backgrounds that may allow us to unveil some other things. But I understand that Priest Ward is very, very capable.
I would appreciate if you also kept this.
Most assuredly.
But if you see anyone, if the abbot is not in the habit of accepting help. We implored him to go to the Baron and request the aid of some militia or some of the Baron's guards to search the wood, and the abbot refused.
Okay, I will keep that in mind. So if my party happens to wander into that woods, we'll just keep an eye out. If we happen to see anything, we'll make sure to discreetly bring back whatever information we find. Would that be acceptable?
That is appreciated. Thank you. And thank you for your discretion.
And I hope you enjoy the sauerkraut. It's a special batch. It's a little bit, has some peppers in it, so it had a little more spice to it.
Excellent. I will share it with the worthy ones.
And then I'll make my way out.
Okay. The acolyte was standing outside of the door waiting for you to get out so that he could guide you back out of the dormitory.
Well, thank you, good sir. I could have found my way, but I also understand you probably have to guide me. So let's head on back so you can get back to your chores. I hate for you to get in trouble with Priest Ward.
Thank you. He sort of, as soon as you're outside of the dormitory, he darts off and basically runs back to the abbey.
Well, so I'll get back and say, hey, let's head on out, guys. People, party, group.
Are you going to tell them what you learned in the abbey or outside?
I am not going to do it here. I will wait till we are somewhere on our own in a way.
Okay.
Because I do want to discuss it with the people like I and find it because I know they all have heard some rumors around town, so I also want to see if anyone has heard this to determine if there actually has been the rumors floating around town. But I don't want to do it anywhere near the abbey or anyone else who could overhear it.
Okay. Fair enough. So where would you all like to go now?
I think we're gonna head to the next temple.
Okay.
And guys, I don't want to force it on the group. I know I poured this way the heck out here and found some interesting information, but if you guys just want to go right to St. Luther's, we can do that, and I can go talk to the other temple at some other time. That's up to you guys. I don't want to force the group in a direction. I know I took a lot of time here, and
Yeah.
now, sorry.
So what's the decision?
Well, I think the other temple's on the way. The one we're gonna end up with the one with the L on it. We got to hit the one with the O first before we get to the L, right?
Mm-hmm. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like right there.
Yeah, it's right here. So if
Yeah,
you
if we-
take this path down and go across this bridge here, you're going to end up getting to the temple there before you hit St. Luther's.
Oh, we can definitely stop there on the way then.
On the way.
Okay. All right. So the temple to Orzar is a much smaller affair. It's definitely not as fancy or wealthy as the Abbey. And much of the temple has decorations that invoke nature, and in fact the inside of the building is made of, many of the walls are made right from standing trees that are still in the ground and alive. And some of the furniture has been woven from living branches and whatnot, so it's a very much different experience from what you find at the Abbey, which is very manufactured and crafted. This is crafted, but more towards forming something out of nature rather than taking resources from nature and building things. If that makes sense. It's much smaller, and there's only about 3 people in the temple when you get there. And all 3 of them are wearing green robes and sort of sitting under a large tree that's in the middle of the entryway, and kind of silently, they look like they're basically in meditation.
All right, who's got this one?
Well, the question I have, seeing as you're the religious one, should we even bother interfering while they're during their whatever they're doing, chantings, meditating, or should we leave them? I don't.
Is there a donation box visible?
Yeah, right inside the door there's a wooden bowl that people usually put their donations into.
Then what Reckwitt will do is he'll take 2 gold pieces and drop it in the bowl, not trying to be quiet about it. And then make like he's just going to head right out of no reaction.
Yeah, you do not get a reaction from the 3 people there.
All right, on to the next one here.
Okay. So you make your way over to the House of St. Luther. You were just here yesterday or the day before to get Zeno healed up.
And Bert.
Okay, and Bird as well, yeah.
And Bert.
Yeah.
That's true.
It wasn't just Zeno.
So, does Jake want to take this one, or?
Reckman definitely. He probably has gotten a little bit of trouble with the lawful good type players.
So, I'll enter in with the party, I guess, behind me, right?
Yep.
And what's going on right now?
Right now, there's not a lot going on. They are, there's about 3 or 4 different young assistants that are cleaning things, and there is a priest up in the front of the worshipping area who is talking to another. They're both humans, talking to another person, and that's pretty much it. There's not a lot going on.
Okay. Upon entering, I'll do the customary Durandale / St. Luther, salute or whatever, acknowledgement,
Okay.
and kind of look behind to see if anyone else follows. You know what I mean? Like this is what you're supposed to do moment, Which I'm not expecting a lot.
Does anyone else do it?
I mutter the word heathens. I'll continue forward. Has the priest taken notice of me yet, or?
Yeah, as you walk forward, he sort of stops talking and turns towards you.
Okay, and
Mr. Tildor.
Yes.
Very nice to see you again.
You as well. May the blessings of Durandale and St. Luther be with you.
Your sword is
my
honorable.
companion. Ooh, gotta put that one down. My companions and I are looking for a few acolytes and such to travel with us. We've found this, I believe, to be a shrine of, I kind of like whisper it a little bit, like lower my voice, of Narrheit. And we need some assistance.
Is this in town?
It's on the outside of town, sir.
Far?
Not far, no.
That's troublesome.
Not far at all. Matter of fact, it's near a farm, if I recall correctly.
I see. And how many people do you need to come and consecrate this area?
Perhaps 2.
Okay.
I look back at the group, like do the shrug a little bit, Nothing from them. Zeno gave me the choose. Like, I kind of give the thumbs up and turn back around. 2 will do well.
2. And do you need active priests, or do you just need muscle?
Both.
Okay.
Although we mostly have the muscle, but
excellent. And it has
wait,
been...
I am the muscle. I'm the only muscle in the group. Well, we got Zeno.
He's stronger than he looks. Is it an entire temple?
There is a shrine there, yes.
And it has been cleaned?
Mostly.
Mostly. Okay. So you will need holy water and incense.
Yes.
Very good. And only 2.
Turn back to the party. Maybe another.
Very good. Very good. I will send Victor, Terza, and Darius with you. You will find them to have a lot of heart and a few good instincts and a decent grasp on how to use a sword. But you will also find them to be young, so you will perhaps need to guide them a little bit as they perform whichever tasks that you ask of them.
Very well. They will probably gain great experience from joining our group.
I hope so. Perhaps they will bring back a generous donation.
Of course.
Very good. I will instruct them to meet you. When would you like to leave?
Kind of put one finger up and look back at the party and do the...
What time is it right now?
It's morning, right? I mean, you might have spent an hour at the Abbey and then walking around town.
There's no time like the present.
Yeah.
Yeah, as soon as possible, yes.
All right,
How soon can we be ready?
I will
That's
have them gather their things and meet you outside post haste.
Good.
All right.
I say my farewells and, salute as I leave, or whatever the appropriate farewell is.
Okay. So you get outside and you wait about 10 minutes, and then 3 young men come out. They're all 3 humans, and they're all 3 wearing a chain shirt and leather breeches.
Okay.
And they all carry short swords. And they all have a symbol of St. Luther on their shoulder. And they all look about maybe 15 years old. They're young. But they are definitely excited. You can tell that they are extremely happy to be chosen for this task. They're all trying to rein in a smile. They're supposed to be approaching this with the appropriate gravitas, and they're kind of standing there looking at all of you and trying not to smile really large. Hello. It's very nice to meet you all. I have holy water for everyone. And he sort of starts digging in his pack and taking out little vials of holy water to hand to everyone.
Nice.
Oh, it's each of us?
Yeah, we're gonna need these. We have to clean the place. You said it's got the stink of Narrheit.
Shh.
I was
Don't
trying
say
to
his
whisper.
name aloud.
I know. It's very bad. But this will cure it. And he kind of shakes one of the vials.
Come then. We head to the hills outside of the village.
They nod.
And as we're traversing over there, I want to speak to I'm going to speak to Victor and just kind of get a little history about his god Saint Luther. Kind of what they pray, because Zeno's also looking for religion. So we don't need to talk it all out. But as we're walking, I'm just gonna try to get the lowdown.
Okay. One thing that he tells you that he's very proud of is that in his order, if he does a really good job and he learns how to be a good swordsman, he can actually progress from a commoner right up to be a very important paladin, and possibly he could ascend up and be able to actually meet Saint Luther because of the piety that the House of Saint Luther has instilled in him. And his favorite saying is "upon my arm." So anytime you ask him something like, what's your goal, or what are you trying to do, he'll say something like, "Oh, upon my arm I will accomplish this. Upon my arm we can clear out this evilness, and upon my arm we will consecrate this land, and upon my arm we will protect the people and praise Saint Luther," things like that. So upon my arm, that's what. And every time he says "upon my arm," the other two acolytes also, you hear them muttering "upon my arm" after.
All right. 2-mile track about, right?
Yeah, it was about 2 miles, right? Through the little clump of woods.
Yeah, we'll follow the road out and then head up into where we know the entrance or the woods.
Yeah, so I think... Did we put it here? Nope, we put it on this one. Yeah, so... around here.
Are we going to tell them about the Xeno? What was those creatures that we first ran into? Smelled horrible?
They are called... Let's see if I wrote it down.
Kuthis.
What are they called again?
Kuthis.
How do you spell that?
Kuthis.
This. Yeah, we probably should tell them. Right before we get there, Zeno talk to Victor and tell him to tell the others, we've encountered some strange creatures here. Kuthis, I'm not sure if you've heard of these, but were they hairless?
They have hair, but it's mostly like spiky hair in a ridge on the back of, all the way down their back, actually. Let me show.
So Zeno will give him the description and the breakdown, and then also add, and when we exited from the tomb, they were gone. We don't know if they were picked up by someone or eaten by something larger. They were just gone. Mysteriously. He'll say it mysteriously.
Was all of the blood and everything was gone, or just the bodies?
Well, perhaps you could ask one of the others. I didn't inspect the site of the killing that closely, but the bodies were definitely gone. But be wary.
Hmm.
Be wary. I
Okay, we explained the entrances and all that, right? How we found it.
Mm.
I said that we would train them, give them experience. So
Okay. So after you tell them about the Kuthis, they are definitely on alert for the entire time that you're walking through the forest. So much so that sometimes they're looking up and they accidentally trip, right? Because they're they're not paying attention to where their feet are going. They're instead looking up and trying to find something that could be stalking them. But you yourselves don't notice anything out of the ordinary. You haven't seen any more sign of these creatures. But yeah, so but you've definitely made them more wary of what could possibly be in the forest around them. But you do make it to the entrance with no problems. And as Jake was telling them about the entrance being, this sort of stone that hides things, they were a little circumspect, obviously a little skeptical. But then when you got there and they saw that it does look like a ram head, and it does actually let you move behind it and go, they sort of look at you with a little bit more respect. Not that they were disrespectful before, but they look at you with a slight bit more, okay, maybe we can believe the things that you're all telling us. Because this is definitely a strange set of things that you've been telling them. And now, however, they're getting proof that some of this is real. So are you going to see if they can open it, or are you going to show them how to open it?
What do you think, ladies?
Nope, we're just going to open it. They don't need to know how.
Okay. Okay. So you open it, and you find yourselves looking at the stairs going down, spiral staircase going down into this room right here.
Does anything look different from the 3 days ago when we were there? Has it been disturbed at all?
Nope. Not at all, actually.
It doesn't look like anything else has been down here, then.
Nope.
Let's proceed with some caution, but
Just some.
safe, I'm sure.
So we were going to go and head north first. Clear out that end room.
Yeah, I wonder about that pool of water. It was draining, right? Is it drained by now?
All left in that pool.
Which pool? The pool in the room, or the puddle that was in the hallway?
Yes?
I'm thinking the room, but maybe both.
Yeah, so this hallway had a puddle of water kind of here, and it looked like it was sort of dripping. It was sort of dripping from the ceiling, right? That's now dry. You can definitely see the sort of residue. So I'll leave it there on the picture. because you can see the residue, but it's definitely dry. If you end up going into the room with this room with the fountain where that had the statue, that is also dry.
Is there like a drain?
Now that it's dry, do we see any cracks at the bottom or anything like that?
If you take a really close look at it, you can see that the statue has a couple of areas where either water was coming out or water could drain out.
My young friends, do you recognize this statue? Has this been taught to you in your lessons at all?
They kind of look at Jake to see if they're supposed to know.
Do I know what it's a statue of?
No, it was just a get my notes here. I think this one was just a yeah, just a human woman holding a spear.
Oh, right.
The spear is not
I
broken
look
off.
at them.
Yeah.
I look at them and kind of shake my head no. Like, give them the let's move ahead look.
Okay, they sort of go, okay. They kind of relax just ever so slightly because they thought for a second that they were going to be failing a test of some sort. No, we don't recognize her. We don't use spears. The House of St. Luther.
Zeno's going to look over at Rekhmet and say, what do you think about destroying this statue and see if there's anything underneath?
I think we would do that or make that decision after we deal with the shrine area. Let's let these youngsters get a good taste of the real stuff in front of me. I will guide them from the rear. I think I should take a look at those statues downstairs.
All right, we head downstairs.
Yep.
Before we do, is there anything different about the plant room?
It does not look like it, although it seems like more of the plants are rotting rather than thriving.
Okay.
Before there was a mixture of some were rotting and some were kind of thriving. Now there really aren't any that are thriving.
I hope. Here we go.
Yeah, head on down.
Okie dokie. So you go down this set of stairs and you find yourself in this room with 5 alcoves. Grab my notes here and I can describe to you what's in each alcove again, just to give you a refresher. Here it is. So this, I'll put numbers on them here.
We got 2 women at the front and then 2 males in the back too.
Yeah, so this one right here with the number 1 on it is a woman with malachite gemstones in her eye sockets, completely naked, and on this one, number 2 here, it's a horrible 2, but you get the idea. That is also a woman, but she has blue jade gemstones in her eye sockets. This number 3 here, that's a man, also unclothed, with malachite gemstones. And number 4 is also a man, but with blue jade gemstones. And then the 5th one here, I apparently can't draw a number very well, but the 5th one here is a statue of
Narrheit.
it's a statue of Jake identified the statue as Narrheit. It's Narrheit's human form often takes the form of a lithe, handsome elf with a straight-edged scythe. And that is what that is a statue of. But that statue has cut pearlescent coral in the eye sockets.
Didn't the eye sockets disappear or turn into stone once our stones changed to the gems?
Yes. Yes, so when the riddle from the other room was that you needed to have, each of you had a stone, but one had to remain in the basket. But there was only enough stones for everybody to have one and have an empty basket, but one of you took a stone in the basket, and then all of you happened to be in the same room down here, and you all had a stone, but one of you was holding the basket with the stone in it, which still qualified as having the stone. So at that moment, then, the stones switched into being gems.
So that's when the eyes are gems now.
No, the eyes were always gems. When you were poking at the Narrheit statue, the trap that you triggered came out of the acid or the puffy cloud of stuff that came out at you came out of his mouth.
And what do our acolytes think of these statues?
They don't recognize the men and women, but they immediately, when they see the straight-edged scythe, they are taken aback, and they start searching through their bags to get the holy water out, and they're gonna consecrate. They're like, oh, this is giving me the shivers. I don't like it in here. This is obviously evil. I think these.
Wait till we finish cleaning out the other shrine room first, then we'll get that on the way out.
The what?
Let Zeno. Yeah, I'm sure Zeno. It's probably safe. I'm sure it's all good. You should go touch it again.
There's more behind that statue.
Yeah, I just don't want to desecrate the statue or consecrate the statue and have it mess up the entryway. Not saying it would, but
there's a passage behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It was an illusionary passage Leonise found. Perhaps she can tell you more of what lies behind.
Yeah,
that's the actual shrine that we need you for.
Behind is a door, and then behind that is a circular room with a couple of symbols of Narrheit in there. It's an altar. That's where we need to start the cleansing.
Yeah, go check it out.
You want us to go clean that room by ourselves?
Oh, of course not by yourselves. Follow me. And Zeno will look at Bert as he goes to the back of the illusionary wall. Kind of give Bert the nod.
Yeah, Bert will go give it a quick check.
Okay. You can check for traps.
I look at the clerics or the acolytes, and I tell them to be brave. This is the time to be brave.
Brave, brave. They kind of.
Do they have
Do they have what?
shields?
They do not have shields.
Keep your swords ready and a flask of holy water in your hand.
They
Be at the
nod,
ready.
and they've got a flat. They're. You could see their knuckles are white because they're holding a short sword in one hand, and they're holding on to the vial of holy water so tightly in the other.
Good. I like it. Be ready.
Bert got a 9 to check for traps.
You don't find anything.
And I don't think it was trapped last time, right? I think we went in, poked our head in last time, it wasn't trapped, so.
Right. Yeah, the statue was trapped, but the door itself was not trapped. But it's always good to check a second time, right? You never know.
Sure.
Yeah, he's been here for a little while.
And
Go ahead.
Does anyone want to help torque up the excitement for the new guys? Like Bert, do you want to mess with them a little bit?
What did you have in mind?
Well, they're the new guys. We got to break them in somehow, right?
I mean, I'm not beyond a little bit of hazing, sure.
Yell "ow" and like suck on your finger or something, or poison.
Good. There's a dart comes flying out of the wall.
Do you want a ketchup packet? I think it's an issue today.
If you want to mess with them, you can.
I'm giving them the positive, feedback. It's a great learning experience for anyone.
Yeah.
Only an altar to Narrheit. What could possibly go wrong? Come on, guys, let's get to move on.
Yeah, I'll tell them. It's all clear, don't worry about it. Go on in.
So who's going into the room then?
Rick's going to walk in. He's like, you
Yeah,
guys.
Leonie's going to walk into.
Yeah. Xenolessness will go into, and it's just a regular wooden door.
No, it was a secret door, so it was sealed very nicely, and it's actually made of stone.
Be aware.
I'm gonna jam a piton into the pivot point of the stone.
Okay.
Hopefully to prevent it from closing on us.
Okay. Sounds good.
Rick goes in the room first.
Okay. So remember, there is an altar against the back wall, and it has the symbol of Narrheit on it. The symbol of Narrheit is like a figure 8 right side up and a figure 8 sideways laid on top of it. Narrheit's symbol is a bastardization of the symbol of Mortius. Narrheit is a kind of a trickster, kind of thinks he's funny, but it's really just rude kind of deity. And so in order to make a mockery of the symbol of Mortius, he took the symbol of Mortius and twisted it a little bit, and that's how you get the symbol of Narrheit. And so you see 2 gold symbols of Narrheit against the back wall. I mean, this room is circular, but it's against the sort of this rear wall back here. And right in front of it is an altar made of malachite. And malachite that has been shined and polished the way that this altar has been is like a green stone that has veins of black and white running through it. and sort of next to the altar, to the left of it, is or on the, I should say on the left side of it. So if you're looking at it, it's on the left. Is a very large pile of junk, and you sort of figured last time that's kind of it's like a vermin nest.
Did we really explore that pile of...
No. All that happened was the elf stuck her head in and looked.
Yeah, we just looked.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting that
Xeno was resting, so we couldn't really go forward.
it's interesting that the I'll say the Temple of Narrheit has a beautiful stone altar, polished, and then a rat's nest next to it. It's almost like a Two-Face. How, you have one really beautiful object and then garbage next to it. Two sides of a coin that are completely different.
That's an interesting idea. I just thought it might have been like a refuse pile of gifts and stuff that stuff had moved into over time since no one's been here in a while. But
yeah, it could be as well, but it just seems out of place.
Well, you should go and check it out.
Out of place in a sealed room.
Yeah.
We don't know if it's truly a sealed room. We haven't checked the whole.
True, we haven't checked the whole place.
Yeah, I said we've only seen the one door so far.
Not anything against your eyesight, Linnaeus.
No.
No offense, meant to the fairer race.
These little sparkles coming from her fingertips.
So, each of these squares on this map is 10 feet, right? So, I'm assuming that basically Reckmit has not proceeded past the initial 10 feet into the circular area of this room. You're all just kind of standing there looking as Xeno is hammering a python into the...
Reckmit would have walked 10 feet forward and gone to the kind of the left. So I would have gotten into the circular room.
Mm-hmm.
Anything happen?
No.
Then I would have stepped a little to the left so everyone could still see.
Okay. Nope, nothing happens.
Okay.
And Linny's would have gone to the right as soon as she saw you going to the left.
Okay.
She is looking for secret doors.
I'll go to the center and motion for the three acolytes to stay behind in the square behind us.
So you all see Jake walk into the middle of the room, and you hear a click, and then you hear the sound of like a cabinet door opening almost, and you see Jake fall.
That's a lot of Jake hate right there.
I have it. My Jake's fallen grace.
Jake did say in chat that he was going to die first. So
Jake takes 3 points of falling damage and finds himself on the ground, prone, and you hear a slithering noise.
Ooh.
Jake's making a friend.
Yeah. I call out serpent, and I ready my sword.
Okay.
how deep is he? How deep is he down?
It is a 10-foot pit.
10 foot.
So Zeno dives forward and immediately shouts for the acolytes, "Grab my legs!" and reaches his arm down there to throw an arm down there.
Okay. The
How tall is Jake?
The acolytes take a couple of seconds to try to figure out which thing in their hands they should throw down so that they could grab onto your legs. And they end up deciding, okay, they'll drop the swords because they don't want to drop the vial of holy water because then it might break. So they each now have one of your legs and a holy vial of holy water in the other hand. How tall is Zeno?
Zeno is... I know it's on here somewhere.
Second page, I think.
He is 5'10",
Okay.
and he's gonna slide up to his waist so that his chest is over the side of the edge.
So Jake, you're also tall enough that you could probably stand up and reach your hand up and grab Zeno's hand.
Okay.
As you do that, you see out of the corner of your eye a green snake that has coiled up, and its part of its body raises up and its head raises up and its hood comes out. You know, it has a crest hood that comes out and it hisses very loud. It is a emerald green color. And it is within striking distance. So you can grab Zeno's hand and possibly get bit, or you can try to kill it, stomp on it, do something.
Is it small enough to stomp on?
I mean, if you stomp on its head, you would. I mean, it's not a giant snake. It's a sort of quote normal size snake, but it's still a obviously venomous snake.
So as Zeno slides over the edge, you might catch a glimpse, and he's like, "You're scared of that?" I said it was a big snake.
It's just a wee beanie little snake.
With your other hand, you grab down and snatch it up.
Gosh, very dangerous.
Your knees would have gone over to the edge.
Let's see, either attack it or get out. I'm going to try to get out.
Okay.
I think that's...
So you can, as I said, easily grab onto Zeno's hand as long as he's still reaching out with it. And what's your AC? I believe I missed.
14.
Yes, I missed. So as you're being pulled out by Zeno, and the acolytes are trying to drag Zeno backwards, and Jake is holding on, and they're being pulled out, the snake lunges and misses as Jake's legs are drawn out of the way. So now you're all...
Well done.
Now you're all up out of the pit. Say that again?
So help me, if that was like a garter snake.
We'd never let you live it down.
Is there anything else in the bottom of the pit that we can see, like refuse or stones or branches?
It does not look like it. If you look close, you see there is a subtle crack in the northern wall, which is probably how the snake got in there and is still alive. Because this room does not appear to have been, the pit itself and the room itself does not appear to have been disturbed in quite some time.
Who's got a ranged weapon?
I have. Denise has got a crossbow.
There you go.
Go ahead and roll me an attack roll. Let's see how many bolts you have to expend.
Oh,
Good start. Four points of damage.
Yeah, you easily take this thing out. As after Jake had been pulled out, this thing was, kind of moving around trying to figure out a way to get all the way up out of there, and as it was doing so, Leonise completely just took it out with no problem. The acolytes are extremely proud of themselves for acting so quickly and holding on to Zeno's legs and saving Jake's life.
Good job, boys. Don't leave your swords behind.
Oh yeah. And they pick up their swords.
Saved our mighty cleric from a worm.
I walk over to the pit and look down. I'm like, that must be a good, 3 feet long snake?
Oh yeah, deadly.
It's like this. But it was right next to his face, you understand? Okay,
Not
so
between the thumbs either.
yeah. So there's now an open pit in the middle of that room, so I put a little orange square there. So now what? There is still a teeming mass of garbage next to the
I asked to come and check the squares on each side of the pit, or the area on each side of the pit, to make sure there's no more pits or traps.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll do a quick kind of sweep of the room here. I can do a couple checks if needed, but just to see if there's anything else that's going to fall off the floor.
Sure. Go ahead and give me just one roll is fine.
Uh, 14.
You don't find any other traps, but you notice that the pile of garbage is moving a slight bit. It has a little bit of vibrational movement that you can see that it did not seem to have a few moments ago.
All right, let's maybe approach that carefully if we're going to go towards it.
And it's to the left, right?
It's to the left, correct.
Bert will go ahead and tell everyone to kind of get ready, and then when everyone looks about ready, I'll throw a couple of sling bullets at it.
I was going to say, should we just throw some oil on it and just burn it?
Oh, that's actually maybe a better idea, yeah.
When in doubt, burn it. Yeah.
Yeah, we are in a closed space, though, and oil's going to...
Yeah.
You guys' choice.
And these will be ready with a crossbow in case anything comes out. If you're going to throw some sling bullets.
We'll start with the sling bullets, and if nothing happens, we can maybe burn it after.
I've got the torch ready.
So who's going to go poking at it?
Not it.
I'll
Somebody.
chuck something at it from far away, yeah.
Okay.
Bert's going to fire some sling stones.
And my crossbow is going to be ready.
Okay. Bert, you want to give me a couple of D20 rolls?
We got a 12 for the first one. A 6 for the second. And a 14 for the third.
A 12, a 6, and a 14. Okay. So, roll me your damage for 2 of those.
Let's see, we got a 4 and a 2.
A 4 and a 2, okay. So as you do that, you hear a squeal, and then 2 enormous rats run out of the pile of garbage, and it kind of shifts and tumbles and falls all over. They're obviously hurt, but they are very much alive.
Can I get a chance to shoot a crossbow at one of them?
You can, or you can let them go because they are just trying to run and get away. They're heading.
Oh, they're not.
They're heading for the door. You don't actually know their intent, but they're heading for the door.
Oh, so they're just rats.
They're just
rats.
they're just really big rats.
Oh, okay. That's fine. I thought they were like big rats.
Nope, not enormous. Just I mean, they are big, but they're not. They're not like 3 or 5 foot rats.
Are they bigger than Indolef and dock rats?
Yes.
I'll let them go. If they're just normal rats.
Okay.
If one comes near me, I will try to kick it into the pit.
Okay. You can roll me an attack roll for that.
Oh, that's what it is. You guys see Reckman take a swing with his leg and fall on his rear end. Oh! Oh, just stretching out the hammies.
So now 2 of you have fallen down. All right. Let's see if we can get 2 more. Okay, so the pile, it has now kind of fallen apart a little bit, because these things did not leave through their normal exit hole. They just kind of went out to get away from whatever it was that was hurting them. So it kind of shimmied and fell over. It wasn't, it was just a pile of junk. It wasn't like some sort of awesomely constructed whatever. It was just a nasty rat nest.
Take my 10-foot pole and I'll poke around and see if there's anything in there of any interest that they may have collected.
You do see some shiny things as you kind of sweep your pole through.
I'll sweep again back and forth, saying, "Hey, there's some shiny things in here."
While Linnaeus is doing that, I'm going to head up and look at the altar.
Okay. The altar has a small brass bowl sitting on it that has some coins in it, and it also has what looked like some dark stains in the bowl.
Hey, Jake, does this look like a blood offering?
I cautiously walk over to the altar, mindful of the pit in the middle of the room, any debris that's on the ground, and any stones that might be awkwardly placed on the floor.
Hey, don't be so afraid. Don't be scared. I made it.
Oh, right. I look up at Redneck and I'm like, I kind of give the nod and I do more of a Durandale mighty strut over to the thing to look good in front of the acolytes of the other god. And does it look like a blood offering bowl or anything?
It does. It looks like it has... The coins that are in it look like that at one point they had liquid blood on them, but It's all completely dried now.
Hmm.
I give the nod to.
So, would it be considered evil to like actually give a donation and put blood on there just to see what happens, or would that be a bad idea?
Why don't you wait until I leave to do that?
I just,
Not helping, not helping. No blood in the blood area.
the water had to go somewhere.
How
All right,
about in the purification? What?
I'm gonna go search the walls, see if I can find any abnormalities, see if they look like the rest of this lower area, if they look any different structurally.
And then Zeno's going to ask Bert if do you want to join me in the pit, my friend, and see if this crack leads anywhere, or if there's any other passages.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna pull Victor the Alkalite over to kind of drop us a rope, tie some knots in it, so me and Bert can climb down.
Okay.
Do I feel any wind coming out of that crack?
No wind, and it's pretty small, but it's possible that Bert could squeeze through for a few feet anyway. It's hard to tell how far it goes and how thin it gets. It's very misleading when you look at it from the top. It looks like a very thin, like the snake could barely fit through. But once you're kind of down there standing right in front of it, you see that it's almost an optical illusion, but that you actually could. You probably couldn't because you're a large human, very tall. But Bert could maybe shimmy in through there to some extent.
Do you want to tie a rope around me, maybe, and I'll give it a go?
Yeah, I'll tie a rope around. Well, I'll let Bert tie a rope around his own waist and then hold on to it.
Okay.
And, yeah, I'll attempt to shimmy through the crack here.
So you shimmy through, and you go through about maybe 10 feet, and you get to a point where it's so narrow that you have to kind of hold your breath and kind of contort your body to get through. But you do get through, and it opens into a much larger room. The room is about 40 feet by 30 feet, and it has 8 alcoves, 4 on one side and 4 on the other. And they are in the alcoves are like urns and other types of vessels. I'm assuming you're not just walking right into the room, but you're kind of just looking.
No, I'm taking a look around. I'll go ahead and call back to Zeno there and let him know what I've seen. Maybe see if we can communicate it up to Jake and see if he knows anything about it.
Yeah, I'll relay the message up if they don't hear it. Bert has found another chamber with alcoves and urns in it. 8 of them. Jake, is this some type of burial chamber?
I don't really have any knowledge of that, but the number 8 does seem familiar. And I point to the symbol of Narrheit on the altar, and that's in a form of like a figure 8 as well. Correct?
Yeah, it's a figure 8 standing up in the regular shape of an 8, and then it's a figure 8 to the side, so it's like the infinity symbol, but it's laid on top of the other figure 8, so it almost looks like a 4-leaf clover in a way.
Okay.
Are any of the other alkalites skinny?
I mean, all 3 of them are like skinny 15-year-old boys. I mean, they're relatively muscular.
That would be able to, So they would or wouldn't be able to fit in there.
It's maybe possible.
Denise is going to look around the altar. Because presumably we kind of know now roughly where it is, so probably somewhere about under the altar is that room, right? You said that the tunnel went north?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you want to roll me a wisdom check, Lenice?
So wisdom is the secondary. We've got a grand total of 13.
As you step up to the altar, you hear a sizzling noise, and you see steam coming from the brass bowl that was on the altar.
Did anybody touch the bowl? Leonie looks around. She says, points. Looks like there's steam coming out of it.
I look at the bowl. Do I see steam?
Do you want to make me a wisdom check?
Indeed, I will. 19 plus something.
One for your level, one for your wisdom.
19 plus 2 is 20, or 3 is 21. 22, sorry.
As you come over to look to see what happened, you see Rekhmit putting away a little knife and sort of putting his hand kind of in his pocket.
No.
Look at all innocent. What happened?
For 2 minutes, just 2 minutes, you've done this. Of all the things, aside from a few others that we're not supposed to do, it's this.
I
slowly back away as I'm doing this, not towards a pit, making sure that there's no stones that are up off the ground.
Yeah. So, as you're looking at it and you're kind of realizing what happened and you start to back up, you notice that the holy symbols, the symbols of Narrheit, have sort of, they were hanging on the wall so that you could see that you could take them off. They were separate from the wall. They've sunken back into the wall now, so they look like they're inlaid into the stone. And the blood is sizzling and burning. And you also, by the way, notice there's a couple more coins there, and the blood is sort of sizzling and being burned off, basically, and drying up onto those coins.
This is not only my problem, okay?
This is everyone's problem.
Jake, I took your advice and advisement. I prayed to the god, and I got a sign. And Rex is gonna go check out the symbols to see if there's like an opening or if there's any.
We leave that to Bert. That's Bert's job. You're not Bert.
Bert's in the pit.
Yeah, Bert's otherwise occupied. Sometimes you just gotta go for it.
Then we wait for Bert.
Well, you wait for Bert. I'm gonna go check out the sigils.
So, I mean, you see that they have sort of sunken into the stone. Are you touching them, or what are you trying to do with them, other than look?
Don't touch that. Do not touch it. Do not. No touching. Don't touch.
I'll take my 1 stone, reach out and touch it, or the gem that I had, or whatever it is, or that I had in the basket.
Okay, nothing happens.
So these.
Jake, you're just being paranoid.
Does anything happen to the altar or to the wall or the stones or the floor around as we're looking after this?
You want to give me an intelligence siege check?
So meanwhile, while this is happening, Bert is going to be cautiously looking about the room he's in, hoping to try to find some way to connect back to the room everyone else is in. So he's kind of looking for a way up through the south or up above.
So it's a 16, and it's a primary.
Bert, do you want to roll me an intelligence check? So the altar has it looks like it has a little so the altar is like 4 feet tall, 5 feet tall almost, and it's several feet wide. So it's basically this big slab of malachite stone. And before it looked like it had kind of a smooth front except for the symbol of Narrheit, and then there were the 2 symbols on the walls. Now, the symbol of Narrheit that was sort of carved into the stone has become smooth, so you can't really see it. But it looks like there's now a square outline in the front of the altar. Like a little cabinet doorway, almost, but there's no handle.
No handle, and we don't have our thief to check.
Bert got an 18, and it's a secondary.
Okay. You very easily find a outline of what looks to be probably a secret door behind the 4th alcove on the south wall.
All right, go ahead and inspect it for traps real quick.
Okay.
I got a 4.
You're pretty sure it's not trapped.
Perfect. I'll go ahead and try to open it up. I don't know if it's locked or not. But...
it opens with no problem. And what you see is about a 3-foot passageway and then a set of steep stairs up.
All right. I'll start heading up. I might have to untie the rope if we reach the limit. I think it's like a 50-foot rope. So if the rope starts getting taut, I'll go ahead and untie it. But
yeah,
I'll start.
You definitely would have already reached the limit, so you would have had to untie it.
Yeah.
Okay. When you get to...
So once the rope goes slack, Zeno is going to immediately pull it back in and be like, Bert, are you okay?
Oh, hearing that, yeah, Bert will call back and be like, yeah, I think I found a way back to meet up with you guys. I should see you soon.
All right, so then Zeno will coil up the rope and climb up out of the pit.
Okay. When Zeno climbs up out of the pit, he immediately sees that Lenice and Rekhmit are standing in front of the altar, and that the 2 symbols of Narrheit have sunken into the wall, and that Lenice is definitely investigating something in front of the altar, and Jake and the other acolytes have sort of stepped away as far as they can get without actually leaving the room.
Seeing Jake heading back as far as he can get, Zeno will also move back with the acolytes and Jake.
Okay.
Conscious of the issue with the gas from the before, Lenice will step back a bit and take her staff. So she's going to be off to the side of the altar, and will push on the symbol.
Okay. When you push on the symbol, you hear a click, and the square part, the cabinet door size square part, sinks back and slides over.
Uh-huh. A door.
Inside the altar, what you see are I mean, you're now a few feet away because you used a 10-foot pole. But you see a bunch of what looks like circular, dark red. Well, for lack of a better, you're not sure what you're looking at. They look kind of like helmets, actually.
How big of an opening is it?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
It's about, I mean, so the altar itself was several feet long, like 4 or 5 feet long, and about 4 or 5 feet high. I mean, it's a really large altar, and the doorway is probably, it's inset into the middle of it, so it's probably 3 or 3.5 feet on each side. It's roughly square.
Redman's going to take out his rapier. See if he can reach in and pick up one of the whatever it is.
Okay.
Almost like object, but I won't put my hand past the barrier or the opening.
Okay. Yeah, you can pick it up and balance it kind of on the tip of your rapier.
Okay.
As you do, you see that it has two sets of, or has two sort of spindly looking things, one coming off of sort of opposite sides of this circular piece. Almost like the straps of a helmet.
Okay, they don't think that they're organic, they just look like straps-ish.
Well, so as you bring it closer, you have the realization that this is a very large, like slightly less than 1 foot in diameter piece of carapace from a giant centipede with 2 legs still attached.
Oh.
And
What do you make of this?
the cabinet's filled with them. Bert, when you head up the stairs, you get to the point where you reach the end, and your head is like bumping up against the ceiling. And you look up and you see that there is a cutout above you in the ceiling that's probably some kind of a trapdoor, but there's no latch from this side.
All right, I'll do a quick check for traps here.
Okay.
All right, slightly better. I got a 9 this time.
You're positive there's no trap on this.
Perfect. And then I'll try pushing it at first.
You can push it ever so slightly, like 1 millimeter. I mean, you're doing it gently because you're used to dealing with like traps and whatnot. But you can tell that there's a latch somewhere that is keeping it closed.
All right, so I'll push it up to 1 millimeter again and start kind of calling out and see if I can get anyone's attention, see if they can hear me from wherever I'm at.
So, Rekmit, as you're standing there with the rapier, with the carapace on it, you hear a couple of light thumps, and then a pile of these things fall out of the altar, sort of all over onto your feet and whatnot. And you hear a voice that you think you might recognize.
I will casually, my rapier, toss the carapace at Zeno. Stab inside the box and say, "Die!"
Bert, you hear something from the other side pressing back down on, or you feel it and you hear it press, and it's pressing down on the.
Hey, no, it's me. It's Bert. It's Bert.
Can I hear any real words, or is it just all muffled?
It's pretty muffled, but the voice, as you're getting your as you're getting to the end of your sort of stabbing frenzy, it dawns on your brain that, hey, I might recognize that voice.
Okay. I will peek in to see if, say, Bert, are you a centipede now?
Nope. I'm still a halfling. I'm just, I'm underneath. There's a trap door, I think.
Is there a centipede down there?
Not that I know of, no.
Do I see if I have to unlock it or unlatch it?
At this point, you don't, because there's still quite a few of the carapaces in there. You'd have to basically empty it all the way out to try to find a latch to.
I start tossing them out, and I'm unintentionally throwing them at the other party members.
Uh,
I look like I'm trying to hit them, but I really am.
okay. So, Linus, you realized pretty much when you saw Rekmit pull this thing out, you knew it dawned on you as well what this was. So now you're looking at the sheer number of centipede carapaces, and it's obvious it's from many more than just one centipede. I mean, there's hundreds of these things.
That's what I was going to ask next. Okay.
Yeah.
How big are they? You said they were about a foot.
They're slightly less than a foot in diameter. Rekmit, you pretty easily, once you've cleared that area out, you can find the little latch to open the very well concealed trapdoor.
I will very carefully unlatch it, but I'll have that rapier right there. So if it isn't Bert, I'm stabbing.
Okay. Bert, you see a little bit of light break the plane of your vision as you're looking up, and the trapdoor top comes up, and there's a rapier pointed right at your face.
Hey, no, don't stab. Don't stab. It is me. I'm not a centipede, I swear.
Hang on, I gotta roll. All right, I believe it's Bert.
All right.
I'll pop it up, I'll pull my rapier back and lend it my hand.
Okay. So now you're standing in a circular room with a pit trap, a big green altar that has been packed with centipede carapaces, and a trapdoor that leads down a very steep flight of stairs into a crypt-like area.
So, Bert, what was down there?
A lot of urns. Eight alcoves and 8 urns, and I didn't really go poking around with them, but now that we're all together, I think we could go back down and take a look.
So, but Linnies will look around to those that have knowledge of these things and ask, why would this be full of carapaces? Does that any meaning?
By the All-Father's beard, I don't know.
Ritual components, maybe?
Things that are locked away in here and hidden. Linnies will look and does Linnies see anything else inside that altar?
Nope, just a ton of carapaces that have been hollowed out, but the legs are still there.
Does it look like they were manually hollowed out, or like a natural process of like shedding this carapace?
It's a variety. Some of them are obviously they weren't cleaned out, and so there's desiccated matter on the bottom side. Some of them have obviously been scraped out all the way, except for the legs that have been preserved.
Strange.
Yeah. So while you're thinking about this, I need to take a 5-minute break. So if that's cool with everybody, we'll take a 5 minutes and then we'll come back.
Good idea.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, perfect. All right, and we are back. So, what was that you just said about the centipedes?
Reckmit is going to at least keep one of those little carapace pieces for study, and the
Okay.
rest will just, unless ask Ed if anything else wants to know, I'm going to throw them in the pit and get them out of our way.
Anyone else?
That's a good idea. No.
Bert thinks they're pretty gross. He wants to get rid of them.
Oh, can I take the snake carcass from the bottom too? Anyone mind?
Don't mind.
Right.
Fine by me.
I'll take the green snake too.
Okay.
Got my backpack.
So before we head down into the crypt, Linus will dig through that rat's nest carefully and see what else is in there. You said there was some shiny objects.
So there was a question, actually, before I get to that. There was a question kind of on the table before we went to break, in that Reckmit had asked if anyone knew anything about centipedes with relation to why they might be in an altar for Narrheit. So, Jake, do you want to roll me a wisdom siege check and see if you can recall anything?
Probably not. But I got a 10 on my result.
Okay.
And just for the record, that was Leonice's question. That
Oh, was it? Sorry, I apologize.
give credit to where it is.
Yeah. So, Jake doesn't know of any official connection between Narrheit and centipedes, but he can probably imagine that Narrheit, being a friend of all things chaos-inducing, that centipedes are pretty wily and move weirdly and odd-shaped, and they would probably be something possibly favored by Narrheit in terms of, what you might want to support in terms of what kind of chaos it can do. It is kind of vermin-y kind of insect. So maybe there's a connection there, but Jake doesn't know of any specific connection or ritualistic use of these by those followers of Narrheit. And so to the question of what's in the rat's nest, there are, if you want to take some time to dig everything out of there, there are 10 copper pieces, 17 silver, 6 gold, and 7 platinum pieces in there. There is also a sealed scroll tube.
Sealed. Okay.
Sealed. You can open it, but it is sealed.
Now, are there any markings on the tube?
Nope. It's made of leather that has been sealed in on all the seams with wax.
Sure, I'll break the wax.
Okay. Inside you find 3 scrolls.
Are they divine?
They are arcane in nature. They have arcane magical writings on them.
In that case, I'll put the scrolls back in. For now, I'll put the scrolls back in the tube and stick it in my backpack.
Okay.
Leonise is quite happy.
Okay. And is Reckmit then tossing all of the centipede parts into the pit?
With glee.
Okay. Anything
Try to bank
else?
people up there around it.
Anything else anyone wants to do in this room?
I think we want to make sure we put a pit in these doors so they can't close if the blood burns out or something. I don't know what magics keeps them open. They just
Okay.
snap shut at this point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Sounds good. Okay.
Do we want to go search that chamber before we try and desecrate or consecrate this altar?
I think we should go down and see what's below first.
Okay.
Yeah.
I agree. I just wanted to, put it out there.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Bert's been there before. He'll lead the way back down.
Okay.
Samuel, how many vials of holy water do we have?
There's one for each of you, and all 3 acolytes have one.
Okay.
We have 8.
That would be 8 as well. The number 8 appears again in our game. What does this mean?
What does this mean?
Secret Haitians.
So is everybody going down the stairs then? Is that what I'm hearing?
Reckon it will.
Yeah, looks like.
Jake, well,
Yep.
Okay.
Oh, how do we keep the trap secret door open?
I have. Oh, do I have any?
Oh.
Anybody have any pits? I don't have any pits.
Across the thing so we can't slam down.
what's the top made of?
The trapdoor part itself is wooden.
Oh.
The door that opens in the altar, the front part of the altar, that was presumably that stone, the malachite.
No. I'll just break the door off.
But we'll have to pit and open, or do we want to break open the jade doors too? Break those off.
Yeah, no one's come after us.
I just don't want them to close.
You don't want to what?
I don't want them to close. I'm not as skinny as Bert.
Yeah, I think we already spiked open the stone doors. It's just the trapdoor we have to worry about.
Technically, we only Zeno spiked open the door to this room. We talked about doing it for the trapdoor and the break, but we hadn't actually done it yet.
Or with the sliding doors, we'd want to spike open.
Whatever the jade doors were, however they were.
Yeah.
And we can probably just break the wood door off the trapdoor.
Yeah.
Okay, you could do all that. That's not a problem. It will make noise, but if you take as much time as you need, you can do that without any problems.
Onward.
Yep, down we go.
Forward.
Okay, so you get down to the bottom. These stairs, the stairway is extremely steep and narrow. And so I'm going to go ahead and draw the room that you are in, what it looks like.
How tall is it? Is there a lot of height, or are we going to have to crunch down?
It's about 8 feet tall, so I think everybody fits. This is basically...
Everybody but Jake. He's got to hunch down.
Yeah, pretty much. This is kind of what this looks like. Now, I'm drawing it using this tool that makes it look kind of imperfect, but it's not really this imperfect. The lines are just fine. Come on. And so this is...
Bert, you said there were urns in each of the alcoves?
There are what look to be kind of funerary urns.
Were they like Bert-sized?
They're all different sizes. And so you've got this sort of odd room here, and it has these 4 alcoves on the north and south wall here.
And at the end of each alcove, there's a door or an urn?
No. There's an urn in each alcove.
Okay.
So the crack that the crack in the wall that Bert came out of was about right here. And the stairs were pretty much right here.
Yeah.
But you see, it's a pretty large room. The each of these alcoves has some variety of urns in them. Okay, so some of them have a very large urn that's standing on the ground. Some of them have a couple of shelves with different sized urns on them. Some of them have a couple of urns that are next to each other. So there is a variety. All of them appear to be, just at first glance, a funerary type of urn. So we're talking about, ashes that would hold the deceased. Or urns.
Do any of them have any lettering or markings on them?
So for that, you'll have to get closer.
Victor, check those urns. Tell me what you find from your studies. It's time to earn your keep, my friend.
Earn your keep.
If Victor does go up there, Reckmick will follow behind him. Close enough to...
Reckmick, no opening, no breaking, no moving, no touching.
No more blood sacrifices?
My friend. You all found serious ways.
So, in general, none of the urns have anything on them more than names. There's no decorations on them. There's no other... around the thing. And I'm assuming you're not just, opening them and putting your hands in or anything like that. But in terms of the ground or the shelves that some of these urns are on, there's nothing else around them. So there's no jewelry, there's no gems, there's no parchments, there's no anything else you might find of ceremonial nature. And the urns themselves have nothing but names on them.
Ooh.
In what language?
Vulgate.
Okay.
Do you recognize any other names, any recognizable ones, like famous names?
None of them are famous names, but Reckmick, roll me an intelligence siege check.
19. And that is a primary.
Reckmick recognizes some of these names. They are not people that he knew firsthand, but they are previous residents of Indolophin from decades ago. Either that or those people's family members. He at least recognizes some of the family names. But no one of import, so no sort of noble family or no relative of the Baron or anything like that, just regular townsfolk.
Do I recognize anyone that was closest to the current time? to know about how far the last one would have been interned?
The most recent one is probably. 6 years ago.
Hmm.
Do you know if there's any connection between the names? Like maybe all the families are of one trade or another?
They just seem random.
So no connection.
They're either sacrifices or some secret cult.
Yeah, it could be sacrifice. I was thinking maybe there's cult activity here.
Yeah,
Did you inform us of the family names?
You can read them yourself.
Out of the 8, how many do you recognize? 6, was it?
Well, you got to remember, there's more than. Oh, here's a question. And each of the alcoves, is it a same family group? As in, like 8 different families, or 8 different clans, or 8 different.
Nope.
Okay.
It looks totally random. There is one name, though, that sticks out to you, Rekmit, only because you heard it really recently, and you have eidetic memory. So this, immediately as you read this name, you recognize it. It's the family name of Logansik.
That wasn't the farm that we're near, is it?
No, it's the last name of the wizard Horus, who was run out of town a few weeks ago.
Ah, okay. I was going to say, is that the wizard? All right.
the wizard who was dabbling in necromancy, right?
Yes.
That's correct.
Okay, so I noticed the Logansik, and I recognized the horse. Now, when we were talking, you guys never mentioned Logansik, right? You just said Horus?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I only had Horus. Yep.
So I'll quietly ask Linnaeus, did you know the surname of that wizard?
I don't. All I know is a wizard called Horus.
Okay. Where did you hear this from? How did you come about that information?
Something I overheard in the inn.
Interesting. Because that wizard you were mentioned, this is one of his family members.
Hmm.
So if he was dabbling in necromancy, and it's been a while. Do I know anything about this wizard Horus at all? Was he new to the town, or what do we know about it?
Not much. I mean, he was not new to town, but the family wasn't of any note. They were just a family of fishers. You know, the thing to note is that he was run out of town because he was found digging up graves in the graveyard.
Graves. Yeah.
Now, do I recall where was he run out of town into the Oxwood, or was it?
He ran northwest, is the rumor.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the opposite direction.
No one's seen him since.
Yeah.
West is towards the Oxwood, if I recall correctly.
I think so, yeah. Oxford's like southwest.
Yeah, because Four Top Hills, that would be towards the Oxwood. Interestingly enough. Okay, sorry, I'm getting into my analysis brain of Rekmit.
So he's digging up bodies. These urns, we haven't opened the urns yet, right?
Correct.
Nope.
Now these wouldn't be burial, though, right? They would be more ashes type thing if they was cremated.
Right.
They've been cremated, and I would say it's more of a cult than based on the names of the families, I would think they were involved, and this is an honor to be interred here versus murdered for it. I could be wrong. but the latest one is from 6 years ago, or the earliest one. The others are decades old, for some of them. So it's a long time frame, but that would account for why we've had so much dust and inactivity here for 6 years. That doesn't mean the cult's still not active.
It's true, but
Okay, I am going to go to the Lukansic urn, and I am going to open it up and take a look inside.
Okay. You find that it has ashes in it, but on top of, sticking out of the ashes, is a rolled up piece of parchment.
Okay. I'll gently put the top back on and go to another one and take a look in there as well.
It looks like there's ashes in it.
But no parchment?
Nope.
Or paper?
Mm-mm.
Are there... Okay, guys. This one actually has a piece of parchment in it that I didn't want to touch. One out of respect for the dead, Jake. Sort of. And Victor and your fellow acolytes. We probably should check some of the other urns to see if there's any others, and maybe have Bert check that one for traps before we pull that piece out.
Yeah, before I try removing the paper, I was thinking the same thing.
I'd like to be a little reckless, but for Jake's sake,
Sometimes it's going to be a little safe.
I'll put a little caution out there for once. I mean, as usual.
I don't think that they were sacrifices as much as members, perhaps. So
I lean
with
towards
that said,
because
I think we should
I lean
investigate.
towards, but you may be right. They could also be sacrifices. I don't know. And I'll mention there are that wizard Horus that Linnaeus had a rumor of. This is one of his family members.
Mm.
Do I know when that family member happened to have died or passed away?
Not particularly. I mean,
Fair enough.
it's not someone that you knew personally, so
Right.
it doesn't have a lot of significance to you. So you remember the name, but it's not something that would stick in your mind as with a ton of detail.
Sorry, guys, my usefulness is ended.
Bert will go over to Horace's urn then, or the family member's urn, and he'll take the top off and then do a quick check around the piece of paper, kind of prodding at it and using his tools to try to make sure it's not be trapped when you pull it out.
Okay. Roll me a intelligence check.
It'll be dust in the face.
That's a solid 9. So yeah.
So you you don't find an obvious trap, but something about this doesn't seem right. You just can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, right.
Detect magic?
Have one of the acolytes bless it.
Yeah, I think like holy water as well. Yeah, have one of the acolytes do it maybe.
You gonna ask one of the acolytes?
Yeah, they were able to cast spells, right? They're acolytes.
Hey Victor, I got a funny feeling about this one. Can you come bless it with your holy water here? We'll keep an eye on you. We'll make sure it's okay. But...
I kind of give the look down and kind of shake my head towards them.
Let's find out what he does.
I wonder if there's anything magical in this room.
Oh.
He sees Jake give him the kind of
Nudge, leanies.
Yeah. And he says, I'm not sure I should pour the holy water in there. Doesn't sound like a very strong idea, and then we won't have any more holy water.
Well, you could just do a sprinkle, maybe. You don't have to do a whole thing.
All right, sure. And he kind of unstoppers it, puts a little bit on his 2 fingers, and flicks just a sprinkle of holy water onto the urn. Nothing appears to happen.
Thing is, we'll be like, yeah, let's try detect magic. And she'll cast detect magic and gaze around the room slowly.
Nothing actually pings with any kind of magical signature other than some of the things that y'all are holding.
Sure.
Jake, do you have the ability to like detect if there's things that aren't alive or weird with respect to necromantic nature?
No. As I once told you about Durndale, we're kind of more about battle and fighting back evil, the perfection of battle, things like that.
Yeah, I know you're a good runer, Shield.
Narrheit, bad. Durndale, good.
The 3 acolytes under their breath, they whisper, Narrheit bad, Darendale good.
The greater good.
I noticed that Rekmit's slowly starting to inch forward towards that urn.
Maybe the urn should be knocked over with a 10-foot pole.
Well, that's what I was wondering. I was thinking, it's like,
Disgraceful of the dead, though.
that's kind of desecrates, but they're probably evil anyway.
Right, that's what I'm going with.
Because I was just looking at it, it's like, would I do that? And it's like, yeah. And these will be like, stand back. How big is this urn?
Tie a string to it.
It's probably 4 feet tall. It's a large one.
Oh, it's a larger one.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot of ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And it's full?
It seemed like it. All that you see when you nobody has really like done much other than Bert put some tools down there to see, and it all felt like thin powdery ash.
I have an idea.
It's a lot of ash for.
Away from where the stairs and the thing are, so it's a north room towards the north alcove. Put my bedroll down. Basically, I want us to try to push it over onto the bedroll so it won't break open. But if anything shoots out or plops out, it goes back away from the wall, so we're back on the south side away from it. Ready for anything to happen. How's that sound?
That sounds pretty smart.
You could do that.
Okay.
Let's try this.
Wait, which alcove is this one in?
I would say the first one on the northwest side.
All right.
Unless that urn happens to be somewhere else where it'd be hard to move it.
So here is where you're saying?
Okay.
Man. Come on, give me color.
And you're are you so you're putting you're laying your bedroll out, or you're putting it while it's still rolled up so that the urn sort of bounces off of it?
Yes. So you're hopefully just cradled down in the middle of it and not break open.
Okay.
Basically here, aimed at that alcove. I can't draw any better than you.
Okay. How are you pushing it over? Just with strength, or somebody mentioned a string or a rope or something?
We have a 10-foot pole. We could leverage that.
Okay.
So at least we're not directly in front of it.
And if the 10-foot pole, if he has trouble, Rekmit will actually go up like on the side and reach way out with his rapier to try and help at least stabilize and push it over a little bit. If the 10-foot pole doesn't suffice to actually get it to push.
Yeah, we just don't want to be in front of it or very close to it when it kind of falls over.
Right.
And don't breathe in any dust.
Yeah, right.
Oh yes, I cover my mouth with handkerchief.
Could be more zombies, it's true.
And where is everybody else when this is happening? As far away as possible? Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, opposite corner.
Because the other thing is this may trigger off something with the other 8, so maybe perhaps by the door so that You're not directly in front of any
Oh.
alcoves.
Like the other 8 slowly topple over.
Yeah, yeah. Wouldn't be the first time that happened.
Okay, so you're pushing it over with a 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
It
Try and leverage it.
it rocks from side to side for a second, and then it finally falls all the way over, and it cracks a little bit so that some of the ash comes out, and the bottom of it explodes back, and it pushes the front part of it along the floor because it's now fallen over, and it is on fire, and the bedroll starts to catch fire, and the powdery stuff is quickly burning down, and the parchment is on fire.
Bert will run over and just try to grab the parchment real quick. Try to save it as best he can.
Okay. So you can tamp out the fire, the flames. The back part of it that sort of exploded is completely like just dust went everywhere and flames shot up, but it died down pretty quickly.
Okay.
Reckon it might need a new bedroll.
Yeah, we can get you a bedroll. We picked up a few copper today.
Yeah. So the parchment looks like this. I'm going to paste it in Discord for you, and I will show the audience as well. That's what's left of it. The rest of it burned. So the edges of this, rather than being complete... so here's what it looks like for the audience. Rather than being a complete actual square, it has burned off the rest of this. And finding this map, I think this is where we will end for the evening in terms of the game. We can have a short discussion here real quick. So let me switch back to the other screen here.
Ooh, I think I recognize something.
I was just going to say, is this local?
That looks like the Oxwood, if anything.
Well, it has ox, and it has 4 hills, which are similar to the 4 top.
Oh, true, yeah.
I can't read the writing yet.
Something nest, which is a little worrying, but...
Acton.
Oh.
Acton.
So, did Leonise say that out loud?
Yes, unfortunately.
So, Jake heard that, and it sounded like Leonise was saying Afkarn. Afkarn. And the reason that Jake heard that or picked up on that is because the bill of an Afkarn is often used in ceremonial rituals for Narrheit.
What is an Afkarn, by the way?
An Afkarn is a large, predatory, flightless bird with a huge black bill.
I tell the rest of this to the party because it's pretty important.
It's just like another reason to go to the Oxwood now. Now we can look for those missing acolytes, and we can also see if we can find whatever this map is pointing towards.
I haven't told you about the acolytes yet.
Oh, just
Plan to, but now we have St. Luther acolytes with us, and I figure I'm not going to.
gotcha. Yeah.
Just from a nicety standpoint, from the different, St. Luther versus ENR or ELR.
We're going to have a little holy war here soon.
I gotta live for now. At least
So let's end it there, and you can think about that, and if you need to discuss things in Discord this week, you can before next week's game. But I want to talk a little bit tonight about something that is often a difference between games like Castles and Crusades and sort of older school-based games. That sounds weird. Games kind of based more on an old school ethos than the newer kinds of games. And what I'm talking about is the number of dice rolls and skill checks. Because when people say to me, like, what do I think one of the biggest differences is between sort of older games like AD&D First Edition or, or like even Second Edition or Basic D&D or something like Castles and Crusades. What's the difference between those and something like 5th Edition D&D or 4th Edition D&D or 3rd Edition D&D? And one of the biggest differences is these more modern games, 3rd, 4th, 5th Edition D&D, they rely on a skill system that requires a crap ton, for lack of a better technical term, of rolling. And for me, my sort of way that I think is that I'm sort of used to and that I try to espouse or talk about the virtues of is fewer rolls and just basing descriptions that I give you or information I give you on what your character's actually doing rather than what they roll. Now, that doesn't mean no rolls, obviously, because we've actually rolled quite a bit tonight. And, of course, someone who's playing like a rogue, like Bert is going to be rolling all the time because he's doing very active things that rely on abilities in his character that require rolls for the most part. But other things don't really, I mean, there's not a skill system per se, right? There's not a list of skills that you all have certain ability to utilize. It's just you do something and then we adjudicate it. So sometimes I like to sort of put that out there and ask people what you think about it. Like, does it feel like that's the kind of game we're running, or does it feel more modern, or does that even ring a bell for you, or do you not really,
Well, speaking for Zeno, who didn't need to roll at all today, yeah.
I'll say from my standpoint, I like the idea that we can just try anything. You don't have to say, well, I don't have that skill, so I can't even try it.
Right, I think it opens up a lot more as well, yeah.
Everybody's going to have different kind of areas of expertise. Like, none of the stuff today that we messed with was even worth me trying to figure out because I wouldn't have any knowledge of it, so I didn't even ask.
Well, are we off the stream right now?
Say that again?
Are we still streaming?
We are still streaming, yes.
Then I'm not going to say what I was going to say.
I've been playing for a long time, and so I played a lot of old school stuff, and I actually enjoy the lack of die rolls, where it's much more of, hey, what do you want to do, and is it reasonable?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it goes, it's maybe more random in some way, right? Because it's not, even with a good DM, there's some things you're going to roll for, whereas other times you won't. But it's fun, right? Because it takes away that, oh my goodness, I think, do I have that skill? Can I try that or not? So I really enjoy it. I mean, I play 5e too, but I prefer the older style.
Yeah, I was trying to present it not as an indictment of those games.
Oh, no.
I play 5th edition too, and I played 4th edition, and I played 3rd edition, and I played 2nd edition. So I wasn't trying to make a a value statement. It's more of I tend to gravitate towards this style game with less rolling or fewer dice rolls compared to something like 5th edition, which has a lot of dice rolls.
Yeah. Oh no, I think I've played every edition.
I think it's adjudicated well too, because like it was a lot more common sense. Like for me getting out of the pit, while the monk was there to help me up and everything, you just were more like, there's 3 acolytes. We got the monk, we got the cleric. There wasn't a role for like, what's your strength? What's it was just like you pull them up,
Right.
Which I could see that happening with all that help. The snake got the attack, which is good. Well, not good if it would have hit, but it was good. I liked it. But it was smooth. It was a little risky. It was daring, and not a lot of dice rolls. I think that's a really good, smooth transition, like from a 5e game to CNC. I didn't have to make a climb check or anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I personally try to go with sort of more common sense things, right? But every once in a while it happens where something I might think is more common sense doesn't actually fit somebody else's definition of more common sense. So the one thing I'll say about that is, if we're ever in a game and something is happening and it doesn't make sense to you, like either how I'm describing it or how I'm saying how something works, just ask me how just say it's not making sense. Can I either give more explanation or more detail or a different way of saying it? Because sometimes it's just that I'm just not as describing it as well, or it makes sense in my head, but it doesn't make sense the way that I said it or something. The pit is a good example of that, because I think we all can easily get an image of a basically 10 foot by 10 foot pit, or, slightly smaller, and someone falling in, and then what do you do? And I tend to rule those things as, the reason the snake got the attack is because you didn't attack, you just got reached up and got pulled out. If you had tried to attack, you would have gotten to attack first, and if you had hit it, you probably would have killed it. Right? Or at least caused it to go farther away, so maybe it wouldn't get the attack. So when you didn't do that and you chose, that's where it obviously is going to attack you. So that's kind of where that sat. That choice was yours. It's based on what your character is going to do. Right? And so anyway, I just want to encourage, like, if there's anything where I say something and it doesn't really make sense, just call me out on it and say, hey, like, that doesn't make sense. Can you either explain that more or differently or something? And I'd be happy to do that.
Well, it totally did not make sense that the dwarf cut himself, put the blood in the bowl.
Yeah. So he sent me a text on Discord, a private message on Discord.
Oh,
and so
totally cool.
Yeah, so I made a couple of rolls to see if you would actually notice, and you didn't notice. So that wasn't just me deciding. That was actually because that's kind of something else, right? Where you have like a player versus player kind of, which PC has the easier time getting away with something. And I didn't want to just say, oh, Jake wouldn't notice or Jake would notice, so I just rolled it just because I wanted a randomizer, right? Because it's basically 50-50 whether you were going to notice or not. I mean, basically, it's slightly different, but...
it doesn't matter, but it was good gameplay at the moment.
I think I even said, Jake's not looking, I'm going to slide him up there and just kind of...
I think it played out well. I think we had fun with it,
Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So the other thing that this kind of lends itself to, not rolling as much, in other words, is you can have puzzles that you actually puzzle out instead of having to roll something. So I don't put in a ton of puzzles. What I do is put clues in, and if you put some things together, awesome, you put some things together, and then you can use that as part of your character knowledge. But generally, I won't make a puzzle that, if you don't solve it correctly, it stops the game, right? Like, so you can't, if you didn't solve this puzzle, that secret door didn't open, and so now there's no more information available to you. Like, that's generally not how I try to design things that you're going to interact with. But there often are consequences if you don't resolve the puzzle, but that doesn't actually stop you from continuing the game, unless, of course, it creates a death situation where, everything blows up and you all burn to death. So,
Like
that's a different
exploding
thing.
urns.
So,
Thanks,
other than that, is there anything else that anybody has questions about or needs to have answers for, or anything like that before we round out this particular setup?
I think so.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We are going to be playing next week as well, unless, provided there's no disruption in service because of the hand of the gods, like a storm that kicks my internet out or something like that. But I'm knocking on wood because I don't want to bring that onto us. But so my plan is pretty much every week, and unless there's a holiday or something. So plan for next week. We're going to do it next week unless something happens. So thank you everyone for watching. And I don't have the stream up anymore. I mean, we are streaming, but I don't actually have it up. Does anybody in the audience have any questions? You can send them to us. You can come onto the Discord at Troller Games and just ask, and we'll be happy to answer it. Otherwise, I think it's time for us to just say goodbye. Bye.
All right.
Bye.
See you, everyone.
See you guys later.
Thanks for a great game.